Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to look into our crystal ball, but instead of vague predictions, we'll be using data, trends, and expert analysis to explore a crucial question. Why might 2026 be a particularly challenging year for the world? Now, this isn't about fear-mongering. It's about being informed and prepared. By understanding the potential hurdles ahead, we can be better equipped to navigate them, both as individuals and as a global community. So, grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into the converging factors that could make 2026 a year to watch. First up, let's talk about the economy. The global economy is like a giant, complex machine, and right now, several of its key gears are showing signs of strain. The unprecedented events of the early 2020s, including the pandemic and subsequent supply chain disruptions, led to massive government spending and stimulus packages worldwide. While necessary at the time, this has created a long-term debt burden for many nations. By 2026, the chickens may come home to roost. Governments will be facing tough choices. Do they raise taxes, cut public services, or risk spiraling debt? For the average person, this could mean higher costs of living, reduced social safety nets, and a more precarious job market. The interest rate hikes implemented by central banks to combat inflation have a delayed effect. The full impact of these policies, which make borrowing more expensive for businesses and individuals, will likely be felt most acutely around 2025 and 2026. This could lead to a slowdown in business investment, a cooling housing market, and potentially a global recession. We're talking about a ripple effect that starts at the top with monetary policy and ends in your wallet. On top of this, we're in the midst of a monumental technological shift driven by artificial intelligence. While AI promises incredible advancements and efficiencies, its rapid integration into the workforce is also a source of major disruption. By 2026, AI will be far more sophisticated and widespread than it is today. Repetitive tasks, data analysis, and even some creative jobs will be increasingly automated. This AI displacement, as some economists call it, could lead to significant job losses in certain sectors. The challenge isn't just about losing jobs, it's about the speed of the transition. Will our education systems and job training programs be able to adapt quickly enough to reskill millions of workers? If not, we could see a rise in unemployment and a widening skills gap, creating social and economic friction. 2026 could be a tipping point where the displacement caused by AI outpaces our ability to create new roles and adapt, leading to widespread economic anxiety and a call for new social contracts, like universal basic income, to be seriously debated. Now let's shift our focus to geopolitics. The international stage is becoming increasingly fractured. The era of clear, predictable global alliances is fading, replaced by a multipolar world with competing spheres of influence. Tensions that have been simmering for years could reach a boiling point around 2026. We're seeing growing strategic competition between major powers, trade disputes that are reshaping global supply chains, and a rise in nationalism. This isn't just about distant political maneuvering. These geopolitical shifts have real-world consequences. They can disrupt trade, making goods more expensive. They can create uncertainty, which spooks financial markets. And in the worst-case scenarios, they can lead to regional conflicts that have devastating human and economic costs. By 2026, we could be living in a world that feels less stable and more unpredictable, where international cooperation on critical issues like climate change and pandemics becomes even harder to achieve. The global political chess game is in full swing, and the moves made in the next couple of years will set the board for what could be a very tense 2026. Another critical factor is the environment. The effects of climate change are no longer a distant threat, they are a present reality. According to scientific models, the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events like hurricanes, heat waves, wildfires, and floods are projected to increase year on year. By 2026, we will likely have experienced several more record-breaking seasons. These events don't just cause tragic loss of life and property, they have cascading economic consequences. They disrupt agriculture, leading to food shortages and price hikes. They damage critical infrastructure, requiring costly repairs. They displace populations, creating climate refugees. The insurance industry is already struggling to keep up, with premiums skyrocketing in high-risk areas. 2026 could be a year where the cumulative cost of these disasters puts an unprecedented strain on national budgets and global supply chains. It's a relentless, compounding problem, and the bill is coming due. The pressure to transition to renewable energy will be immense, but this transition itself is a massive, complex, and expensive undertaking, creating its own set of economic and logistical challenges. Let's also consider the social fabric. The combination of economic pressure, job insecurity from AI, and a constant barrage of unsettling news about climate and geopolitics can take a toll on society's mental health and cohesion. We're already seeing signs of increased polarization and social unrest in many parts of the world. Misinformation and disinformation, amplified by social media algorithms, make it harder to find common ground and solve problems collectively. By 2026, the frustration and anxiety bubbling under the surface could lead to greater social fragmentation. People may feel left behind by the rapid pace of change, leading to a rise in populist movements and a decline in trust in institutions like government, media, and science. This erosion of social cohesion is perhaps the most insidious challenge of all, because it undermines our very ability to work together to solve the other problems we've discussed. A society that is divided and distrustful is far less resilient in the face of economic shocks or environmental crises. So, when we put it all together, the looming debt crisis and potential recession, the disruptive force of AI on the job market, the unstable geopolitical landscape, the accelerating impacts of climate change, and the fraying of our social fabric, it paints a picture of 2026 as a potential perfect storm. It's not that any one of these issues is insurmountable on its own. The real challenge is that they are all converging and interacting with each other, creating a complex web of problems that are much harder to solve in isolation. A climate disaster could exacerbate a food supply issue caused by a trade dispute, which in turn could lead to social unrest in a country already struggling with AI-driven unemployment. This is what systems thinkers call a polycrisis, multiple, interconnected crises happening at once. But here's the most important part of this entire video. This future is not set in stone. The purpose of looking ahead at these challenges isn't to be pessimistic, it's to be proactive. Forewarned is forearmed. On an individual level, this means focusing on what we can control. This could involve building an emergency fund, learning new skills to stay relevant in the job market, reducing our personal environmental footprint, and being critical consumers of information to avoid falling for misinformation. It's about building personal resilience. On a collective level, it means demanding more from our leaders. We need innovative policies that address the long-term debt while protecting the vulnerable. We need massive investment in education and reskilling programs to manage the AI transition. We need diplomacy and international cooperation to de-escalate geopolitical tensions and tackle climate change head-on. And we need to find ways to rebuild social trust and have constructive conversations, even with those we disagree with. 2026 might look challenging, but humanity has a pretty good track record of rising to the occasion when faced with adversity. Innovation, adaptation, and cooperation are our greatest strengths. The challenges ahead are significant, but they are not insurmountable. By understanding them clearly, we can start making the smart choices today that will lead to a more stable and prosperous future for everyone. It all starts with awareness and conversation. So, what do you think? What challenges are on your radar for the coming years? What solutions give you hope? Let's discuss it in the comments below. Sharing knowledge and perspectives is the first step towards building a better future together. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this analysis valuable, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the trends shaping our world. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next one.